Well, it's been pretty frantic, actually. We've been flat out ever since the first lockdown came, back 18 months ago. But, you and I had a discussion at the wedding on Tuesday about the lack of drivers and the fact that the government are issuing all these visas, which don't seem to materialise, like you just said. But I don't think that's a quick fix. I mean, there are a lot of licence holders, your sons included, who would probably drive lorries. But unfortunately, because we have this thing known as the CPC, we all have to undertake 36 hours vocational training, has basically wiped out quite a lot of the older lorry drivers, which we could be calling upon now. The other thing as well.
Let me just butt in quickly, because tell folk what the CPC is. Is it UK? Is it EU? Is it still valid? Is it still necessary?
Well, basically, as a full-time or professional lorry driver, you have to have a thing called the CPC. So you have to do 36 hours vocational training. This was introduced 5 years ago and it was an EU thing. And you still have to have a CPC to drive abroad. Now we're no longer in the EU. This, in my opinion, the government could scrap quite easily and would bring back a lot of older lorry drivers who have basically said, well, we're not going to sit in a classroom and be taught by somebody who's 36 years our junior when we know already how to drive a lorry. And there's also a lot of part-time people who don't really want to spend the 36 hours sitting in a classroom because it costs a lot of money. It costs £56 a session. So by the time you added all that up, that's nearly £250. For what? They already know how to drive a lorry. They know the law and everything else. So in my opinion, that would help tremendously. You've also got the thing IR35, which was also prevented limited companies from driving lorries, which then took a lot of people out of the equation. Again, if that was scrapped and people were allowed to continue under the IR35 rules, you would bring a lot more back. So really, we don't need to bring these foreign lorry drivers back into the country. I mean, obviously, the government have now changed the requirements where they were having to go home on Christmas Eve, but they've now can stay till February. But at the end of the day, that's still not going to solve the problem. We've got 100,000 lorry drivers short. 5,000 isn't going to make a big difference. And we really do need to be bringing new blood onto the scene. But also the other problem as well is that you say we want to try and get young people into the industry. But the problem is that when they come to insure the lorry, they just can't get insurance. My son's company who I work for, who I'm helping out at the moment, we have a young driver. The excess on his young driver is £4,000. It's just ridiculous. No company is going to be able to afford a £4,000 excess, plus the high cost of insuring the lorry as well. So again, we're in a catch-22 situation. Where do we go for these for the younger drivers? Also, facilities need to be improved dramatically throughout the country. I mean, lorry drivers are sometimes expected to sleep in lay-bys, and they run the risk of having their diesel stolen, especially at the moment with the fuel shortages. Diesel's going out left, right, and centre. The facilities at services are very poor. There's no proper food. I mean, it's costing £35 a night to park in, say, a moto services, and you get a £10 meal voucher, which you can spend at McDonald's or Burger King. Well, that's not very nice. Imagine if you were having to eat Burger King 5 nights a week, because that's all that's available to eat. I mean, there's a lot of things that the government could be doing, and they need to be talking to the big companies like Moto, the big services, to improve facilities. Maybe they should give free parking to lorry drivers now. There's a lot of things that the government need to do to up the ante a bit.